I'm Emily P. Freeman, and welcome to The Next Right Thing. You're listening to episode 377. This is a podcast about making decisions, but also about making a life. If you struggle with decision fatigue, chronic hesitation, or if you just need a few minutes away from the constant stream of information and the sometimes delightful but distracting hum of entertainment, you're in the right place for discerning your next right thing. I'm an author, a spiritual director, and an occasional workshop leader. I live in North Carolina with my family, and through my work, I've helped thousands of spiritually thoughtful people overcome decision fatigue so that they can discern their next right thing in faith, work, and life. It's time for our seasonal episode of What's Saving My Life Right Now. I'll be sharing the things that are life-giving to me during this current autumn season, and I'll encourage you to make your own list. It could be anything from a favorite product to a spiritual practice, a fun new show, or a few fun new shows, or a meaningful relationship. When it comes to naming what we love this fall, everything counts. Traditionally, this is the episode where I go slightly off script, so who knows exactly what I'll say or how I might say it. If you prefer to watch your podcast, I'm sure this one will be delightfully chaotic on camera, so join us at our YouTube channel and find out. So, what's saving your life right now? Here's what's saving mine. Listen in. If you're new to these episodes, they're inspired by a story Barbara Brown Taylor tells about a time she was invited to speak and she wasn't sure what to speak about. So she asked the friend and the colleague who invited her to speak at the event. And he said, "Listen, just tell us what's saving your life right now." And so she did. And so will we. As a reminder, we are not too precious about this practice. One thing that's saving my life can be quite serious, while the next thing might be really tiny or just kind of mundane. But just like in life, it all counts. Here are the things saving my life this fall. Number one, my autumn playlist on Spotify. I made this several years ago, and I do add to it every year or so. I added a few songs to it this year. We'll link it in the show notes, of course. It's a playlist, like I said, on Spotify. It is nearly perfect for the season. We've got music from Charlie Brown, the soundtrack from Poldark, and also This Is Us. We've got Ben Howard, The Paper Kites, the Waylon Jennies, I love them, the Weepies, and the Avett Brothers. It's banjos and rich brown melodies, nostalgia, and evenings by the fireside. This year, I even added a track from my son Luke's brand new album that he made over the summer. I added a track from his album at the end. And so it's one of my favorite songs that he's written, by the way. You can check that out. But the autumn playlist is over 2 hours long. Every year when I listen to it for the first time, it makes me so happy. You can, of course, listen to my playlist, or pro tip, you can create your own. Number two, second thing saving my life this fall is a practical liberation theology class I'm taking for the second time. Now, if you follow me on Substack, you might know that back in March, I attended a little workshop at our Quaker meeting house on practical liberation theology. Our teacher, Sarah Beth, has led us so well from her experience in this field of study. Well, back in the spring, I found the class to be so helpful for a lot of reasons, but one of them, to be honest, was just to have a place to go every week to see the same people over and over again, to have meaningful conversation about things that really mattered, about something that deeply matters to me. So I'm now on my second time through. She started it up again this fall, same class, but there's different people, and so we have different conversations. But we spend a fair amount of time there talking about the two systems that we live in at all times, the domination system and the new creation system. One can be described, as you might imagine, as hierarchical, competitive, oppressive, exclusive, and transactional. And this leads to shame, fear, suspicion, contempt, judgment, and despair. But the other can be described as cooperative, inclusive, supportive, gift, and transformational. And this leads to love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, hope. I'm sure that sounds familiar. Our job is not to ignore one and only focus on the other. It's important to recognize that they coexist together at the same time. And it's important that we acknowledge this, but it's also important, as I'm being reminded every week, that we take seriously our task to discern which system we're operating out of on a daily basis. And so our weekly homework that we get is to pay attention to where we see God's real world at work, the world of the creation system, the new creation, the kingdom of God. And that practice, that intention is saving my life. Well, like I said, there are no nothing is too big and nothing's too small to be saving our life this fall. And you will now see that is true based on the 3 shows that are saving my life this fall. Yes, that's right. I'm talking about shows on TV. The first one is The Gilded Age. You can find it on HBO Max. This is, if you haven't watched it yet, I'm late to it. We're only in season 2, but it is a Downton Abbey adjacent drama set in 1882 New York, same creator. So there's some similarities there. It has some of that same upstairs, downstairs vibe, except everyone lives in America. But it's so good and I'm loving it. It's a show that John and I started once our son went off to college. We saved it for like a new show to start in this new season of life, and it's been so fun. The second show is a documentary, also on HBO Max, about Billy Joel. Have you seen it? It's called And So It Goes. Listen, Uptown Girl, The Longest Time, and This Night, all on his album, An Innocent Man. This is the soundtrack of my school years. First, it's from like, I remember it in elementary school because it came out in the early 80s, and I remember these songs coming on the radio. But then the whole album, I must have got the cassette tape or something when I was in high school, because when I hear those songs, on an album, there's like a few hits that you hear on the radio, but then when I got the cassette tape when I was in high school and I listened to it over and over. Now, the whole album, like track 1 all the way through to the end, is such a memory for me of high school. Takes me right back to Columbus, Indiana and Columbia, South Carolina in the best way. Well, the documentary released this past July. My sister told me she watched it and couldn't stop thinking about it. She loved it so much. So John and I started watching it, and it is so well done. I can't get enough of it. We haven't finished it yet, but I think it's safe to say that I recommend it. And the third show, I said there's 3. The third show is Abbott Elementary. You guys, we finally caught up on it this summer. We watched the first season, it came out, and then we got behind. Anyway, we're all caught up, and I'm so happy it's back for a new season. I have a soft spot in my heart for network television that I cannot explain, and I'm so glad that there are still some shows that I like to watch that premiere every year on like normal TV. It is so good to see Mr. Eddie and Miss Teagues and Jacob and Barbara and Principal Ava. They're so chaotic in the best way. The whole gang is back, and they're saving my life. Number 4 is annual planning. You will not see Emily P. Freeman planning for the year of our Lord 2026 in January, because I am not going to wait that long. We like to plan for the next year in my work life in September, so that it gives us that final quarter of the year to sort of make any tweaks that need to be made before the new year actually starts. So we do all that in September. It's now a rhythm that I look forward to every autumn. I'll admit I'm always a little bit nervous heading into it because I want to make sure we get through everything, and I want to make sure the agenda is good. Mary, my operations manager, really kind of gets us going and runs the meetings and does such a great job. But I feel ultimately responsible to like cover everything. And this year we had our meeting, and afterwards I was just so deeply grateful for that space. So what about that is saving my life? I'll tell you. Uh, First, it's saying out loud what our goals were, and then what we said success looked like last year, and then kind of evaluating the different projects that we did this year and whether or not we met our goal. And if we didn't, we can always say why. It's just really generative. It's never feels shaming. It always feels like, okay, this is what we thought. That didn't happen, but here's why. We know why. We understand it. So having these regular check-ins, weekly, quarterly, and then this big, retreat in the fall helps us to kind of stay on track as the year goes on and make pivots and tweaks along the way. But another reason it was helpful is it just gives us this annual review of everything that's happening in my work life. We review our company core values, our 1-year plan, 3-year picture, 10-year targets. Then we can see how we follow through on the plans. Like, for example, this year we launched a brand new collection inside the Quiet Collection app that's available now. The birthday collection, maybe you already got it. If your birthday was in September, if it's in October, of course, it's available to you now. Get that birthday collection. One reflection every day of your birth week, because A birthday is not long enough. You need the whole week. But I've been thinking of creating that collection for many years, and we finally did it. And that was one of our goals that we set last September. So seeing that come to fruition, to be able to offer it to you, to create it and then offer it has been so life giving. But mostly, that meeting is a tangible reminder that I have decided not to do this work alone. And I have glad partners who have agreed to walk this road with me, who believe in what I'm doing, who have made it their job, and they keep showing up for me. And then ultimately, that means they're showing up for you, and it's saving my life. Number 5 is the podcast. Here's the real truth. I listen to very few podcasts these days. Of course, there's mine. But there's one that I never want to miss. It is the podcast with Knox and Jamie. They are the podcast committed to educating me on the things that entertain but do not matter. From their episode on the nose of engagement that they did right after Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged, which, by the way, have I mentioned Taylor and Travis in every episode this season? We'll talk about it later. But from that to their general thoughts and opinions on the pop culture news of the week, not to mention the bonus episodes I get because I am a member of their Patreon community. Of course I am. But there's always something to learn and laugh about with Knox and Jamie, and they continue to save my life. Number 6, the Speakeasy. I don't know what to tell you except for this. The little town where we have a house in the mountains has a speakeasy, complete with a password and a little secret door where you have to tell them like, here's the password, and they open it and they let you in. And it has a full out 1920s vibe, and it is one of my favorite things. Every time we go, it's newish as of the last 6 months, but I just started going like the end of the summer, beginning of fall. I love it so much. If you go, get the last word cocktail. It's delish. So that's a fun one. Find a speakeasy if you can. They also have mocktails if that's your vibe. Highly recommend. This next one is kind of a few things that are saving my life, but it's also a little bit of an update from the last time I shared this little list of things that were saving my life earlier this year. So I'll put them under the umbrella category of the seventh thing saving my life is small moves or making small moves. The power of small moves has been slowly saving my life in so many ways since the spring, really since the beginning of this year. Tiny ways, for example, that I'm learning to regulate and notice my own nervous system. I've continued to meet with my own somatic coach, and it has been slow work as the work of the body and the nervous system always is. But I'm learning patience and to pay attention to slight changes in my inner life, my inner experience. And it's helping me to navigate the world a little more aware, a little more fully myself. And I'm deeply grateful for it. Um, I also shared back in March that something saving my life was I was having this shoulder pain and I was doing my little exercises. Yo, I have not been doing those exercises. The shoulder pain's not gone away all the way, but it's kind of gotten better. And I like to think that maybe like the exercises that I did in the spring are like kind of paying off. It's not nearly as bad as it used to be. So I will continue to keep you posted on that because I know that that is definitely a reason why you listen to this podcast. Um, I've been flossing more. I'm telling you, that was, it's not necessarily saving my life, although my dentist might disagree with me. But I will say, I haven't done a perfect job. But when I went to the dentist recently, they noticed. I will say, I floss better on this side, on my left side rather than my right side, and they could tell that. So that was wild. Your dentist knows, you guys, whether or not you're flossing. So get thee to it. So that's something that I have just been. It sounds kind of. I mean, it's important. It's important. It's hygiene, but it's also something that's like a small little discipline for me at the end of the day to like remember to do this. It's part of my routine. So it's helpful to make these little small moves. And that's one of them. I'm just going to tell you. Another one kind of like that, but not hygiene related, that I started in January was I declared that I was going to read one page of The Divine Conspiracy by Dallas Willard every day this year. And if I did that, and maybe like sometimes read more than one page, then I would finish the book by the end of the year. Well, I'm here to tell you, I have sort of kept it up, not every single day, But now, like as I record this episode, if I read 2 pages a day, starting now, which I have been doing lately, then I will finish by the end of this year, but we'll see. But either way, I'm glad I set the goal. Small moves still matter. And even if I don't hit that goal by the end of this year, I've still read so much more than I would have had I not set the goal. So I'm appreciating these small little habits, these small little moves, and recognizing how they're just part of being a person, a part of being a grown-up person. And that is saving my life. Finally, number 8, this quote: "The person of prayer, quite simply, is a person who can cry from the heart and laugh from the belly." That is from Richard Rohr, and I find those words to be deeply true because I want to be someone who can cry from the heart and laugh from the belly. And if Rohr is right, and I think that he is, that's something that's cultivated as we become ourselves in the sacred presence of the Holy One. So, those are 8 things saving my life. May it be so today, tomorrow, and forever as we do our next right thing in love. Thanks for listening to episode 377 of The Next Right Thing. I hope this simple practice of naming what's saving your life can be just one more rung on the trellis upon which your rhythm of life can continue to grow. Because while it's true this is a podcast about making decisions, the bigger truth is our daily decisions are making our lives. Remember, we have the podcast available on audio as always. If you like what you hear, we'd so appreciate a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. But we also have the podcast available this season on video as well. Check us out on YouTube and do us a favor and click that like and share button. Most of all, go ahead and subscribe to it. So appreciate it. We're trying to get that number up. As always, you can find me online at emilypfreeman.com or on Instagram at emilypfreeman. This episode was edited by the wonderful team at Unmutable and organized by the lovely Ashley Sherlock. In closing, a few words from Andrea Gibson, poet and activist, who died this past summer, but whose words continue to live on for us. "Before I die, I want to be somebody's favorite hiding place, the place where they can put everything they know they need to survive, every secret, every solitude, every nervous prayer, and be absolutely certain I will keep it safe. I will keep it safe." Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.